Hello, fifth graders. So last week we were talking all about triangles, okay? And remember, a triangle needs a first and a last name when you identify them. So the first or last name, it has to be about their sides and their angles. So remember, the angles that you can identify a triangle by are either right, acute, or obtuse. And the sides you can identify a triangle by are either scalene, which means all three different lengths, isosceles, two lengths are the same, or equilateral, meaning all three sides are the same length. Today we're going to be talking about quadrilaterals. Do you guys know what a quadrilateral is? A quadrilateral is a shape that has four sides. So there are several shapes that have four sides, and we've learned them in past grades before too. But what we're going to do, we are going to classify certain quadrilaterals, okay? So the first thing that we're going to be dealing with today, we're going to be focusing on this first bullet point where it says how many pairs of opposite sides are parallel. That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be looking at sides that are parallel. So let's look at this vocabulary word right here, okay? Parallel. Does anyone know what that means? So parallel basically means when two lines never touch, okay? So these lines right here are parallel because they are never going to touch, okay? So that means that if sides are parallel, they'll never touch. Okay, they're straight across, and you can see that by, you can put a pencil on it if you want, but they'll never touch, okay? So we're only going to focus on this first bullet point. So the two shapes that we're going to be identifying today, okay, they are called, the first one is going to be a trapezoid, okay? So that's the first shape we're going to be identifying. And a trapezoid is a shape, a quadrilateral, because it has four sides, that has only one pair of parallel sides. So if we look at this trapezoid, what's the set of parallel sides that this trapezoid has? Well, I see that this line and this line are parallel. They're never going to touch. If you continue that line all the way, they'll never touch. So this is the set of parallel sides. It's one pair, okay? These, if we extended these two lines and went like that, okay, they will touch. So it only has one set of parallel sides, okay? So this is a trapezoid, and this is like our standard trapezoid that we usually see. Okay, this though, even though it doesn't look like a trapezoid, it still is a trapezoid, okay? Because if I look at it, this line and this line are parallel, okay? They'll never touch. If we keep extending them, they'll always be the same distance apart, okay? That's one pair of parallel sides. It's a pair, okay? Pair means two, all right? But if we extended these two lines like that, eventually, these sides are going to touch. So this pair of parallel sides is not parallel. So this is a trapezoid, this is its one set of parallel sides, and this is a trapezoid. This is its one set of parallel sides. All right, so trapezoid has one pair of parallel sides. The next quadrilateral we're going to talk about is a parallelogram. And just like it says in the word, you see parallel, the word parallel in parallelogram. And that means that it has two pairs of opposite sides parallel and equal in length. Okay, so basically to be a parallelogram, both sides are parallel and equal in length. Okay, and that kind of makes sense because in order for both sides to be parallel, they kind of have to be equal in length. So these are all examples of parallelograms. And you may also see more specifically that, yes, these are all called parallelograms, but we also may know another name for some of these shapes as well. And we're going to be learning about those specific names later on in the week. But right now, the general term for all of these, since they have two sets of parallel sides and they're all equal in length, is a parallelogram. Okay? So, and what that means also, you may be thinking, wait, all sides have to be equal in length? That's not what the definition says. The definition basically says the opposite sides have to be equal in length. So this one has all four sides equal, but this one, the parallel sides, these two are equal in length. These parallel sides, these two are equal in length, and so on. All right? So those are the two vocabulary words we're going to be talking about today. Trapezoid, one set of parallel sides. Parallelogram, two pairs of parallel sides. So let's look at some examples and let's identify these. So they can either be right now, tomorrow, and following later in the week, we're going to be learning more specific terms for parallelograms and quadrilaterals and so on. But right now, we're only identifying a shape as a trapezoid, a parallelogram, or the broadest term there is, quadrilateral. So let's look at some examples. All right, so I have a bunch of shapes, and let's see what type of shapes these are. So this right here has four sides, so it's a quadrilateral, okay? And I can see that this pair of sides is parallel, because if we extend them, they'll never touch. And so is this pair of parallel sides. So what would you call this then? The most specific that we're learning today is a parallelogram, okay? All sides are parallel to each other. This one I see only has one set of parallel sides. These two sides, boys and girls, if you continue them, they will eventually collide, okay? So this is a trapezoid. When you think of trapezoids, you don't usually think of a shape that looking like this, but this still is considered a trapezoid, okay? This shape, does this shape right here have any parallel sides at all? It doesn't, okay? These are eventually going to touch these two sides, and so will these two sides if you extended them. So this is not a parallelogram. This is not a trapezoid. The only word that identifies this shape, it has four sides, so it's a quadrilateral. This shape, would you say this is a parallelogram or a trapezoid? Well, both sets of parallel sides are parallel, okay? So this shape would be a parallelogram. Would you say this shape is a parallelogram or a trapezoid? This is also a parallelogram, okay? Both sides are parallel. They will never touch. And again, I'm extending these lines. If you do that and that helps you see if it's parallel or not, if the lines actually intersect, okay, you can totally do that, all right? Now, tomorrow we're going to be learning a more specific name for this shape. Yes, it's a quadrilateral. Yes, it's a parallelogram. But tomorrow you'll also be learning that this specific shape can be called many things. It's like universal. But the standard name we know for this shape is a square. All right, and we're going to be talking about it a little bit more tomorrow. But right now we know it's a quadrilateral and a parallelogram. And then lastly, this shape. Would you say this shape is a parallelogram? No, it's not. Because yes, these two sides, this pair of sides is parallel. They'll never touch. But this pair of sides, if you extended these two sides all the way up, they probably intersect. So those two sides aren't parallel. So if it's not a parallelogram, it does have one set of parallel sides. So what is it? It's a trapezoid. All right, so today you're going to do something very similar to what you did on Friday. Friday you went on a triangle scavenger hunt on Flipgrid. So that's what you're going to do today as well, but obviously not with triangles. You are going to try to find parallelograms and trapezoids around your house, okay? So the trapezoid may be a little tricky, but try to find as many as you can. The directions will be attached to the last question on this Ed puzzle and also on your Flipgrid. And again, if you cannot use Flipgrid or you're not able to, just email me those photos. All right, so read the directions for your Flipgrid and have fun.